Hey everyone, welcome back to another Movie Mates video. I'm Matthew, joined by my wonderful co-host and best friend.
Alan.
Hey dude. So today we've got a bit of a different style of video because there's been a recent news out outbreak. Outbreak's not really the right word for it. News
Announcement.
announcement. Yeah, let's go with that. That's much better. So yeah, a bit of a big news announcement in terms of DC movies because just a couple days ago it was DC and Warner Brothers announced that the Snyder Cut would be releasing on HBO Max, right?
Yes, indeed.
So yeah, today we're just gonna bring you our thoughts about the movie and what we hope to see from it and how it could impact the rest of the DCEU. So yeah, thanks to everyone who's liked, subscribed, comment, shared, all that good stuff. We really do appreciate that. And yeah, be sure to comment your thoughts down below. So Callum, any opening remarks from you, mate?
So we know that it's coming out in 2021. We don't have an exact release date. People are hoping for beginning of 2021, but I think it's unlikely. I had recently heard that Zack Snyder had planned to do reshoots with the actors because they hadn't actually finished filming his vision. But according to a recent report, HBO has refused to allow him the opportunity to do reshoots. So he's just going to have to cobble together what footage he has.
It's going to be interesting to see how it works because I assume there are some of the originals Zack Snyder scenes in the original Justice League, right? Although it was
He
mostly reworked by Joss Whedon, right?
Yeah, he's claimed that what was. I mean, it's kind of strange because he's claimed on one hand that he hasn't seen the film,
Hmm.
and then on the other hand he says that the film only contains a quarter of what he filmed.
Wow, that's nothing at all, really, in the grand scheme of the film, really, is it?
Well, sort of the wording's a bit odd because like when he says a quarter of what he filmed is in it, that doesn't mean that a quarter of the film is his. So apparently, his cut will be around 4 hours long. So that means
Wow.
that half of the footage currently in Justice League is his, but it's only a quarter of his vision.
Wow, okay. That 4 hour runtime is huge, mate, as well, because I actually don't know how it's going to work in terms of the viewing process. Will it be charged by streaming, pay-per-view sort of style, or what do you think?
Well, to get HBO Max, it's a subscription service, but I don't actually think it's available in the UK. But it may well be. But if it isn't, I assume it's going to go to an equally compatible viewing stream site.
Mm.
But there's been two theories as to how they'll put it out. It'll either be one 4 hour movie or it'll be six 40-minute episodes released weekly.
Wow, that's really interesting. Like this on this scale, I guess it's I can't really recall to this scale that this has ever been done before. And we've seen things like Save Daredevil after the cancellation, and it sort of does give hope to other projects like that, I suppose, to sort of reinvigorate them and maybe continue them forward. I'd love to see this as a stepping stone for future projects that got cancelled. Daredevil, for an example. I think this is a real good foreground for that.
Yeah, a lot of people are pushing for the David Ayer cut of Suicide Squad
Yeah,
because
yeah, yeah.
his original vision was to set up, like to heavily set up Justice League by having Enchantress's plan involve her working with Steppenwolf and helping bring him to Earth.
Hmm. That's really interesting, mate. It really is because there's also been rumors about a dark side appearance in this film. It's been the Zack Snyder cut, so I think that would be really interesting to see how that would work. Although the only thing that does worry me is the effect side of things. Was the Zack Snyder cut already in post production?
Well, he's been granted 20 to 30 million dollars for effects work, so that will mostly go to work on Superman and work on replacing Steppenwolf with the original design that was seen in the deleted scene in Batman vs Superman. Have you seen that scene?
Yeah, yeah. That sounds great, mate. To be honest, because I'm a big fan of that design. Like, I am really interested to hear your thoughts. Like, are you excited for this? Do you think this is promising?
To be excited for it, I need for it to be wildly different. I mean, if I watch it and go like this is a little bit different, I'll be incredibly disappointed because
Hmm.
I don't really want to sink 4 hours into something that still feels the same but a bit longer. Like it needs
Yeah.
to be a new different thing.
Absolutely, pal, absolutely. Because I think there is a slight issue here that I haven't really seen because crop up anywhere over social media, because I know you're a fan of the Justice League and Justice League Unlimited TV shows, and you think you think it's quite similar tonally to the live action film, yeah?
Yeah, they had sort of quite heavily pivoted from Batman vs Superman being sort of like the dark adaptation of, like, say, Batman the animated series, and they pivoted into like the more upbeat, fun style of Justice League the animated series. And even on rewatch, it does sort of feel like an extended episode of that. But that wasn't what a lot of people wanted, and I still thoroughly enjoyed it. But I'm really open to the experience of equally enjoying something with a different tone.
Completely, mate, completely. I think it is going to be interesting to see how the tones match in this film, because, like you said perfectly, Batman versus Superman is sort of like a dark political thriller, somewhat in the vein of like Winter Soldier. Whereas the Joss Whedon Justice League, it was more, as you said, like it's very similar tonally to the animated TV show, and I don't know if those tones do match. So it is going to be interesting to see what version of this film are we going to get. I think Justice League could work in a Batman versus Superman style tone, a lot darker, a lot more subtle. But likewise, even the color palette of this film, it's going to be interesting to see, because in the trailers we've seen it before and after, where it was a lot darker in the previous iteration before it was retextured. So I don't know. I don't want to see a mishmash of tones with the vibrancy of the costumes and the color palette of the film, but then juxtaposed against sort of the darkness, because Batman versus Superman, it's not a colorful film. I think we can agree. So it is going to be really interesting. So I am really, really excited for this.
Yeah, I mean, I would like to see, the continued use of the color, because I would say the one thing that Joss Whedon did right was the color palette of the film.
Mm-hmm.
That, because you could obviously see the underlying Zack Zack Snyder scenes and how he was intending those scenes to be. But I hope they keep the color. I hope Zack Snyder recognizes the few positives that Whedon's originality directed into it.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Do you think, has it been confirmed whether this film is in canon, or is it just its own separate universe? Because this could have massive impacts for the rest of the DCEU if that universe even continues. If they're going to include Darkseid and loads of more content in there, it's going to be really interesting.
I feel like DC is probably just going to follow the popularity. If this is, you know, immensely well received, I assume they're just going to retroactively say that it's as Justice League is intended, and I see this being much more popular than the original. And even if it isn't better, I feel like there will be a vocal minority of people who will say it is better.
Yeah.
So I'll probably just follow in my brain. I make a lot of justifications for like continuity errors, so I feel the just whatever I feel is best is the one that my mind will continue to say is in canon.
Yeah, completely. I'm the same. I am really glad that Zack Snyder has this moment, to present his work, because he's been through a lot of criticism, and he's been through a lot of like personal trauma in his life. So I'm really happy for him that he gets to sort of outline his vision for these characters and stuff. And I just think this has a lot of potential. This could get the DCEU right back on track, and like we've said, we've never really seen this on a scale like this before. So it does give hope to properties like Daredevil, and maybe a potential Fantastic Four reboot. Things like that, which have been previously like either cancelled or delayed. I think this is so good for the industry in general, especially like comic book movies. Like, this is a real platform, and the DCU and Warner Brothers should be really proud. I think.
Yeah. So if Zack Snyder gets his way at least and gets to film a few additional scenes, what we have to look forward to is the introduction of Ryan Choi, who's Ray Palmer's successor for the position of the Atom.
Mm-hmm.
Then there's the Martian Manhunter.
Yeah, I'm so hyped for that if that gets included.
Yeah, and then there were plans to have an actor play a Green Lantern. I don't actually know which Green Lantern it was. It was hinted at Hal Jordan, but I'd kind of like to see a more original one.
I'd like to see John Stewart.
Yeah, unfortunately, I do know that this actor would be playing. he's either going to be playing Hal Jordan or Kyle Rayner, I think.
Mm-hmm.
But Hal Jordan seems to be probably on the cards because I think they sort of wanted to go with the first iterations of the characters.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Uh, we're also set up to see a bit more of Deathstroke because apparently there was an original post-credit scene that involved him battling Batman.
Oh,
Which
that'd be so much fun.
and then, as you mentioned, Ray Porter was cast as Darkseid.
See,
I assume I think he was cast years ago, and it's only been officially announced now.
maybe, yeah, because I don't know, all those characters, like that, it sounds so promising, and I think I don't know if this theory was confirmed by Snyder or a member of his team, but I heard the general from Man of Steel and Batman versus Superman was actually Martian Manhunter. Well, can you shed any light on that?
Yeah, that came right from Zack Snyder.
Oh, that's awesome, man. That's cool. I like that a lot.
Yeah, it's sort of the same twist that they did on Supergirl, sort of like a government agent. Had it turns out that he's Martian Manhunter. So I think that kind of lacks a bit of originality, but I really like that actor in Man of
Yeah,
Steel.
yeah, me
So
too.
yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing that. I don't think he had the chance to film that scene, so I hope they give him that opportunity.
Me too, me too. And one final thing I sort of wanted to mention to you was the general casting in the Justice League film, because I think we can maybe both agree that it looked unlikely that we would see a Justice League sequel given the poor box office and critical reception the first film got. But if the Snyder Cut does well financially and critically, we could see a potential sequel or spin-offs. Like I wanted to hear your overall thoughts. Like, if Ben Affleck's not returning as Batman for this in potential reshoots, I don't know what they would do. Just maybe, well, I'd imagine they'd have to keep him as Ben Affleck presenting Batman, but it is gonna be interesting. Like, do you think the casting for Justice League, would you like to see it stay the same, or would you like it changed?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't have any huge problems with the cast that they had originally. I think that the only issue going forward with Warner Brothers is Ezra Miller, just due to the public scrutiny of him.
Yeah,
But I think that Ben Affleck had largely won over the audience, so I don't think that there's any need to replace him.
yeah,
In the comics, like Batman is famous for like fucking away off. So I mean, you could just replace him
yeah,
with any other iteration. You could finally introduce Dick Grayson into the DCEU and just have him take up the mantle. I don't think it's a difficult fix, but
yeah.
I have never thought that recasting is the answer to anything really.
Yeah, completely, mate, completely. And I suppose this does open doors for potential multiverse in the DCEU. We've seen an Ezra Miller cameo in The Flash season 6, I think. So, that opens so many doors. We could have so many different characters in there, and that would even be more groundbreaking than I would argue anything the MCU has done. The MCU hasn't ventured into the multiverse as of yet. Obviously, Doctor Strange 2 might be that first footstep, but it is going to be so interesting. I'm so excited for this news, and when I saw it, I was like, we should definitely chat about this, because this is pretty big news, and for the most part, I guess it has sort of gone on the radar a little bit, because there was the initial hype for the first few days, but I think this is real potential.
Yeah, I fully agree with you. And as you said, Ezra Miller made his appearance on Crisis on Infinite Earths, and I now that they've finally recognized that he's in the same, uh, you know, televisual multiverse, I don't see why the events of Crisis on Infinite Earths, which birthed a new multiverse, I don't see why that couldn't affect DC's film continuity. I
Yeah,
mean, people are sort of saying, oh, well, they could do Flashpoint with Ezra Miller, or they could do their own Crisis on Infinite Earths. But if they're looking to soft reboot anything to do with the DCU, like they've been given this opportunity on a silver platter. The movies don't have to do anything about it. You could just show a couple of scenes from Crisis on Infinite Earths in a new movie and explain that multiversal shift has
yeah.
established a new continuity. I mean, it seems so easy, and I'm just surprised that they're not taking advantage of that.
Definitely. I hope they do take advantage of that, because it is a real opportunity to sort of further out and expand that universe, and take the fans of the CW show and bring them together, sort of thing. But no, I'm really excited to see where this goes, mate. Have you got any concluding points that you wanted to mention?
Well, I mean, you know that for the most part, I'm a DC guy. You know, I would say I much prefer the Justice League in general over the Avengers.
Hmm.
You know, Spider-Man will forever be my favorite superhero, but aside from him, every other superhero I like is from DC, really.
Yeah.
And I just want to see the Justice League done right. So if this is that, I'm very happy. How about you?
Completely, completely. You know, it's such it has so much potential, and you know, from the success of the animated cartoons, and you know, even the animated movies, you know, there's so much good stuff in there, and I think you know they definitely shaped a certain generation of people. You know, from the early 2000s. You know, a lot of people grew up with those cartoons, so it would be great to see, as you said, Justice League done right for sure. Yeah. So do you want me to wrap up then? Yeah.
Yeah, sure, go right
No
ahead.
worries. So, thank you for everyone who's listened to this little one-off discussion we had. We do hope you enjoyed it. Comment your thoughts about the latest reveal of the Snyder Cut in the comment section down below. Hope you guys are all safe and well. Hope your families are all safe and well. And yeah, stay tuned to the Movie Mates channel for upcoming podcasts over lockdown. So, thank you very much, guys. Thank you, Callum, and take care and bye
Thank you,
bye.
Matthew. Bye bye.